Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. We are jam-packed. Yeah, we got a lot to get to. Sad news in the boxing world. Another boxer has lost his life due to injuries in the ring. We'll get to Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports on that story coming up in hour number 2. John Brookhagen from the Math Institute. Good story for Clark County School District deans. They are keeping their jobs. We'll talk to that with Brookhagen coming up in hour number 2 as well. Yesterday was pretty interesting, too. We had Danny Tarkanian, who was a staunch Republican, in studio with Michael Avenatti, and it was a really, really good conversation. I can't even begin to tell you how many people reached out to me and said, man, that was really civil. That was a really good debate. Why can't more people do that? I don't know the answer, but it was really good. It was funny because I walk into the studio wearing this Nike shirt. And I didn't even, sometimes you put on a shirt, you don't even look at it, you just put it on. That's me anyway. And I put on the shirt, I show up, and then Avenatti shows up in studio, and then he says, what are you doing wearing a Nike shirt? I said, I don't know. He's like, we got to change that right now. So he takes this little piece of paper, this note or whatever you call it, and he writes an Adidas sign on it, and he tapes it on my shirt over the Nike sign. It was just a really funny moment. We took a picture of that. We put it up on Twitter. I thought that was hilarious. But it was really cool. Michael Avenatti will be back in studio August 12th. And guess what? August 12th, a very special day for us because the Vegas Take is moving 9 a.m. to noon. So a lot to get to, a lot to go over today. And I want to start with this story because we've been talking about race a lot. And a lot of people say, oh, Brian, you just want to throw out the word racism. You just want to throw it out there and just label people. You want to call the president a racist. You want to call this person a racist. That's all you do. That's what all you liberals do. Well, I got to tell you something, folks. We know the chant that took place. And make no mistake about it, send her back. Race is involved. And if you disagree with me on that one, fine. But you just tell me the last time somebody said go back to your country and they were talking about a white person. Give me a break. Of course race is involved here. Any logical person would agree with that. So now we have this woman in North Carolina. That's the home of the chant, right? Send her back. So let me set up this story for you because it is utterly disgusting. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And I do not think Donald Trump is helping. This 71-year-old woman by the name of Nancy Goodman, thank God no relation to our mayor, Carolyn Goodman, at least as far as I know, thank God. So she's hanging out at a restaurant. These two African-American women are sitting at a table 10 or 20 feet over from her. Now, she's claiming that there was a lot of noise, that they were making too much noise. And that's when things got really, really ugly. So I want to play this story that they did a really good job in North Carolina, the local news affiliate, and kind of give you the audio of it and kind of what happened, and then we'll comment on it.
The woman, who we now know as Nancy Goodman, calls another customer the N-word.
You're too loud.
We're too loud. In your opinion. Let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours.
Right. Oh, you're so stupid.
We found Goodman at her home.
I'm a 71-year-old woman who lives in Raleigh. I suffer from tremendous anxiety.
She says that anxiety and the women's behavior pushed her to act as she did.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. And that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
Goodman says she regrets not asking management to tell the women to be quiet, but she made one thing clear.
So you're not sorry about saying the N-word?
No.
I mean, does it get any worse than this? I have tremendous anxiety. Those black people, they just give me tremendous anxiety. So I just went over there and I called them the N-word, and I'd do it again. Because I have tremendous anxiety, and my name is Nancy, and I'm allowed to do that. They give me tremendous anxiety. I mean, how dumb does this woman sound? Seriously. They forced me into it, she said. They forced me into it. They forced me to call them the N-word. Is there any situation in life where anybody forces you to say the N-word? I mean, I suppose if somebody is putting a gun to your face and says, I am going to shoot you unless you call this person the N-word, I guess that's the only time, I guess, you're forced into saying it. Can you? No, I'm being serious now. Can you ever be forced into saying that word? I really can't think of one. I can't. Now, I know what some of you are going to be saying. Brian, what correlation are you trying to make here? It's very simple, the correlation I'm trying to make. Yes, I do believe there are a lot of ignorant, morons, racist people out there like Nancy Goodman, unfortunately. But usually when they're caught on video, when they're caught on tape using the N-word, usually they apologize, even if they don't mean it, right? You'll hear somebody with a half-hearted apology that'll say, you know what, my emotions got the best of me. I shouldn't have used that word. I'm sorry. Now, whether they mean it or not, usually they'll say it. This woman just flat out said she'd do it again. And why? Because she thought these women were too loud in a restaurant, so she calls them the N-word. I have tremendous anxiety. Sorry, that's my Nancy Goodman impersonation. They made me do it. They made me call them the N-word. I could just see this woman in a white cape somewhere at some rally this weekend. It's just so gross. So let me make the correlation I'm trying to make here. Now, am I blaming Donald Trump for this woman and what she did? No, certainly not directly. But it's this type of woman and this type of thinking that are okay with the chant of send her back. This is not political. How many times do I have to say it? I say it over and over again. This is not about politics. This is about hate. You can talk about Omar all day long, and I'll probably agree with you. I don't think she should be in Congress. If you want to say send her out of office, I would not have a problem with that. In fact, I might chant that with you because I agree with you. I don't like Omar. I don't think she should be in office. I've said that a million times. This has to do with skin color. This has to do with race. It is flat out racist to say go back to your country. And if you disagree with that, sorry, you're complicit. It's very, very simple. Now, there are many people out there like Nancy Goodman. Now, she is obviously a racist, ignorant buffoon, whatever word you want to use. But if the president stood up there on that stage, and if the president said in that 13 seconds when he kind of soaked in the chant with a stupid little smirk on his face, instead, if the president said, guys, let's change the chant to send her out of office. She doesn't need to leave the country. Or if he just halted that chant, maybe some dummy and some racist like Nancy Goodman, maybe she would see that if she is a follower of the president. Maybe she would hear that, and maybe she wouldn't say things like the N-word. Just maybe. I don't know that for sure, but just maybe. This is horrible. The woman who she called the N-word to said she was supposed to be having dinner with her girlfriends, and it ended up in us being called stupid N-word. She says the climate of the country today has some people thinking whatever they feel, they can say. The reality is if we were to retaliate with this kind of hate and ignorance, we would be called angry black women. I agree with her 150%. She goes on to say, as I prepare my child for the real world, these are some of the people I prepare her for, the hateful, prejudiced, racist who think we should all go back to where we came from. Hopefully this idiot is not your coworker, your neighbor, your friend. If so, what will you do with this information? I could not agree with this woman, Warren. She explained that so eloquently, and I feel for her that she had to go through this experience with that evil, racist woman, 71-year-old Nancy Goodman. My gosh. You know what? I hope Nancy Goodman, I hope a bunch of people start chanting outside of her house and tell her to go back to where she came from. I wonder if she would like that. Number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. I have tremendous anxiety. These black people, they just give me tremendous anxiety, so I just feel like I have to call them the N-word. And I would do it again. I don't apologize for what I said. That's what this woman said. I'm just repeating her own words. That is what she said. let me tell you something, folks. As a white person, and by the way, they don't get any more whiter than me, but that's another story for another show. I am embarrassed that this woman is white. I am embarrassed that she is even in society. I mean, I'm just amazed that there are idiots out there like this woman. Morons. And I'm so glad that this woman recorded this on her phone, by the way. Thank God that we know who this ignoramus is. God, what would you have done? What would you have done if you were at this restaurant? Would you have stepped in? I would have said something to her. I would have said, you are a racist. You are a moron. Get the hell out of this restaurant. That's what I would have said to her. And I would have apologized to those two African-American women who I thought handled the situation very, very well. That could have gotten really ugly, really fast. Again, that number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, what's going on?
Yeah, Brian, how you doing, Brian? I wanted to bring up when Hillary said, I don't feel no ways tired. I think you need to take a little bit example from her.
Okay, let me respond by saying this, Brady. Hillary Clinton is not the president of the United States. Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion politically. Hillary Clinton is not in office. I could name you a lot of people in politics that have said some semi-racist things. Okay, but the person I am talking about right now, the person that I choose to focus on, I get it, you're on the right, you're a Trump supporter, I understand that. I understand many Republicans want to do whataboutism and bring up Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and all those other things. Guess what? They're not in office anymore, Brady. Donald Trump is in office, and Donald Trump had an opportunity to stop that chant, and he didn't do it. Donald Trump had an opportunity not to put out those tweets telling people to go back to their country, and he didn't do it. Am I directly blaming him for this 71-year-old idiot? No, I'm not. But what I am trying to say is if he actually showed some leadership on these types of issues, and by the way, I'm not talking about trying to get a rapper in another country out of jail. That's not going to help our discourse here in this country, and that's what he's doing thanks to Kanye West, who made a phone call, Brady. You understand what I'm trying to say here. The president is our leader. He is the leader of the free world. He needs to show leadership on these types of issues. And when a chant like that happens, you have to end it right away. You have to shut these people down that are racist. I'm not even going to call the president a racist, but I'm going to say he didn't handle the situation the way he should have. And what does it lead to? It could lead to people like 71-year-old Nancy Goodman in these types of situations.
Well, how do you feel about, I mean, I got to ask your opinion on the Mueller thing that came out yesterday when he was interviewed. You know, even though that Hillary Clinton's not president, she's been around for the last 2.5 years because she's the one who was involved with.
Why are you obsessed with Hillary Clinton? Why do you every question? She's not in office, Brady. She's not in office. Why? I talk about. See, this is my Brady. This is my problem. No, Brady, you listen to me. No, Brady. Okay, hang up on him, and I'll continue the conversation because he won't let me talk. Let me tell you something, Brady. The problem with people like you can't talk about the actual message. You can't. I'm talking about a woman who called two African Americans the N-word, and you decide in the first sentence to bring up Hillary Clinton. What would you call somebody like that? Why don't you stick to the issues and stop your, I don't know, I guess your obsession with Hillary Clinton, okay? Maybe she'll divorce Bill one day, and maybe you could ask her on a date. You probably have a big Hillary Clinton poster in your wall, for all I know. 257-5396. Let's go to Tony. Tony, what's going on? Tony, are you there? Anthony.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
I'm here. I've been listening to that whole conversation, and now it turned what I wanted to say into something else. So you keep saying to that last caller was going off on a different issue with Hillary Clinton, but why don't we stay on point and talk about what that woman said? Using the N-word is absolutely inappropriate and wrong.
And racist.
However, why is it okay when black people call white people crackers?
When did I say it was okay? Excuse me. When did I say it was okay for black people to call white people crackers? Tony, have I ever said that on the show?
Why doesn't anybody call that out?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of things in society that are wrong. Would you like to go through every single one of them? We can take about 30 straight hours to do that, Tony. What about this?
Well,
what about that? I'm not talking about what African Americans say to white people. If there's a specific example that triggers and I want to talk about it on this radio show, I will do it. Let me be clear. It's wrong for any type of racism when it comes from any skin color and any person. Could I be more clear than that? I'm focusing on this issue and how it relates to our president right now.
Well, what about the 4 rabble rousers
What about
in Congress? Congress now.
This is this is unbelievable.
Jewish, right?
Every sentence starts with "what about." Every sentence starts with "what about." Can we focus on what we're talking about here? What I'm talking about? Yes, I appreciate the fact that you stated the obvious, right? That calling somebody the N-word is wrong. Also, telling someone to go back to their country is wrong. Having a president say that on Twitter is wrong. Having a chant of send her back is wrong. Can we agree on that, Tony?
So, no, I don't think it's wrong.
Of course you don't. What a shocker. What a shocker.
All right, no, this should not be a shocker.
No, it's a shocker to me. It's such a shocker that you're a Trump supporter and you don't think there's anything wrong with that chant. Go ahead.
One part of my family is from Italy. The other part's from Syria. Okay?
Yeah.
I've told family members, well, the way they do it in Syria is this, and the way they do it in Italy is this. If you don't like it, go back. You came here for a reason.
Tony, have you ever voted for a Democrat in your life?
Who would I vote for?
No.
They've been horrible.
That wasn't my question. My question was, have you ever voted for a Democrat in your life?
If a good one came along, I would.
So the answer is no. Okay, we got to the focal point of this phone call. Thank you, Tony. That is what you call right-wing bias right there. Can't even admit the president isn't showing leadership, and that's why I asked that question. There are plenty of Republicans out there that will admit it, but obviously Tony is not one of them. It's just ridiculous. Every sentence at it. What about this? What about that? The last caller brings up Hillary Clinton. It's just ridiculous. What about this, folks? What about? Speaking of what about, how about just stating the obvious? This woman is a horrible person. She is a racist, and it is very dangerous what is happening in this country. We have a lot of division, and not just talking about politics, I'm talking about race. And yes, if you want to bring up Barack Obama, I don't think he did a good job with race relations, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And would it be really difficult if the president, for example, said, you know what? I heard about what the 71-year-old woman did. It's horrible. It's terrible. It's racist. I don't want those chants at my rallies because I think it's dividing people. Would it be so tough for the president to say that? I think it would be tough for him to say that. 257-5396. Let's go to Eric. Eric, what's going on?
Hi, how you doing there? I'm a white farm boy from Nebraska. I was not even aware that there were black people on this planet until I was like 10 years old. The only thing I knew of black people was like Flip Wilson and Geraldine.
I understand.
And I happened to be married to a black woman from Los Angeles who graduated from Crenshaw High.
That's awesome.
I don't know how that happened, but I'm still scratching my head.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that.
The point I want to make is people are racist, and I didn't see it. I am. My wife is. People are. To some extent, to some degree, people are. And and there's no rhyme or reason as to who is and who isn't. My wife and I are like Geiger counters for racism.
Can I ask you this, though, Eric?
It's very clear.
Eric, you would never go up to two African-American women and call them the N-word because you thought they were too loud.
Well,
right?
No.
Of course
no.
not. Would you chant, go back to your country, send her back at a rally?
No.
Of course not, because you sound like a very logical person and a good person. You understand what I'm saying, Eric. I just want some leadership. I want some people to, this is wrong. We have to call out people like this.
People, when it comes to racism, we laugh. My wife and I laugh. We see all these people, it's like king of the hill. They're all clawing at each other, trying to get to the top of the hill so they can announce to the greatest amount of people in the loudest voice, I'm not a racist. It is stupid. Yeah. And we watch TV and we see all this diversity being jammed down our throats.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. People are racist, and that's all there is to it.
Unfortunately, you're right.
You do with it.
Yeah. But why can't? But our president isn't helping. I guess that's the point. Let me ask you this. Let's get away from the president. Let's just get away from politics for a second, Eric. And I appreciate your perspective. What would you say to the 71-year-old woman who said, I have tremendous anxiety, and these women, I would say it to them again. What would you say to her, being the fact that your wife is an African-American? What would you say to her?
I wouldn't say anything to her. I wouldn't waste my time.
All right. Fair enough. Eric, I appreciate the phone call, and I don't disagree with what you said. Racism is out there. It's everywhere, unfortunately. But I also do think it's important to call these ignorant people out. 257-5396. Doug, you're next. What's going on?
Fine. How are you?
Doing good, Doug. What's on your mind?
being a conservative, sort of by default, you do wind up sort of sometimes reluctantly being a Trump supporter. He has so many opportunities when he speaks, and he speaks quite often in many forums.
Mm-hmm.
He has many opportunities that he's missing to do the right thing, and that bothers me more than anything he said. Is he's missing the opportunity to do the right thing.
You're so right.
He should have shouted out. He should have shouted out that damn chant.
You're so right, Doug.
He knows damn well it's wrong. He has spent his entire career in New York City, and I know people that worked with him. He's not a racist, but he's blowing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's blowing it big time.
Doug, I could not agree more with what you said. And you heard what I said a few minutes ago, Doug. Would it be so hard for him, even with this story that I'm talking about, Doug, with this idiot 71-year-old woman, would it be so hard for him to say, I want to take this moment to say, maybe I didn't handle that chant correctly. I want to take this moment, this 71-year-old woman, this stuff has to stop in this country. And if he wants to go both sides, I don't even have a problem with that. Why can't he just show some leadership and do that, Doug?
I think what is taking his brain to not take that next step? He's not going to lose votes by doing something like that.
No, he's not. In fact, he'll probably gain.
He's going to gain votes. He's going to gain respect. I cringe when he does stupid things.
So do I. Doug, you're right.
It's like you're watching your child.
You're absolutely right, Doug, and that's a fantastic call, and I appreciate it. Let me tell you something, and Michael Avenatti was in studio yesterday, and I agreed with what he said, and I agree with him. When Donald Trump won the presidency, I was hoping that the rhetoric would be toned down, and I thought it would. Remember when he met with President Obama? I thought that was a really good meeting. Trump, he wasn't egotistical. I thought he showed respect towards Obama. I said, maybe this guy's going to change. And I was rooting for him. Boy, was I wrong. 257-5396. Bob, you're next. What's going on? Bob, go ahead. Did we lose Bob? 257-5396. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're on the Vegas Take. How are you?
Good evening, Brian and JD. How you doing?
Doing good, Mike. What's up?
Hey, I think the chant was a derivative on the old bumper sticker during the Vietnam War. It was love it or leave it with the American flag. You guys remember that?
I do remember that, Mike. Here is why I disagree, and I always ask, and we'll have a conversation on this. It's okay if we disagree. But if this woman was white, do you think that chant would have still happened? It shouldn't take, see, Mike, with all due respect, it shouldn't take you that long to answer. And if
wait, I was thinking about something else. I got my brain crosswired there, but I was thinking, is this lady a Democrat or a Republican? Nobody brought that up. Academic to the conversation. The fact is, I understand, but also remember what I told you last week. I've got a lot of family members that moved back to North Carolina.
Yes.
Like I said, it takes 32 women to make a perfect, pretty smile because they're all hillbillies. And it's ingrained in them.
But Mike,
that word is
try to
okay.
focus. Okay, but listen to me for a second, Mike. I hear what you're saying, okay? Again, if this was a white woman who was born in the United States of America, do you believe Donald Trump would have tweeted, go back to your country? Do you believe that chant would have happened, go back home? I'm just asking you to be honest with me for a second, Mike.
No, he wouldn't. And that wasn't
there you go,
right.
Mike.
It wasn't correct. The wordsmithing was off on that. What they should have said, go fix your broke dick country before you put our country down first.
Well, I guess that would have been, you know what I would have preferred, Mike, and I appreciate the phone call. You know what I would have preferred with? Get out of office. Get her out of office. Go back to Minnesota or something like that. I would have been okay with that. Nothing racial about that, but go back home, go to your country. It's ridiculous. Let's go to Neil. Neil, what's going on?
Brian, about this woman, I didn't hear the full conversation.
Okay,
but, if she were a white woman, love it or leave it, there would be no problem.
Love it or leave it was not what was said. It was go send her back. So this love it or leave it is not what was said. It was send her back. She is not white. And my point that I am trying to make, Neil, with all due respect, it's very, very simple. And that last gentleman, I appreciate him being intellectually honest with me. If it is a white woman, that chant would not have been said. If these were 4 white women, Donald Trump would not have gone on Twitter and said, go back to your own country. He would not have said that. That is the definition of race, Neil, with all due respect, and I got to get to some of these other calls, and then I got to take a break. We are going to try to squeeze in one more call. Let's go to Bill. Bill's been waiting patiently on hold. What's going on, Bill?
Yeah, I've called before. I'm a conservative, and I think a lot of people, they have a problem. I mean, I'm just going to be basically honest.
is Solomon in the Bible, who wrote the book of Proverbs. He was a black man. I mean, it's right in there stating about his blackness, and God called him the smartest man that ever lived. Okay, so these conservative, a lot of white people, they can't get that through their head.
Yeah,
it's the fact that they get envious and jealous. There's some very, very, very smart black people.
Well, I agree.
And I believe that needs to be shed, because this racism, it's not going to be physically fighting. It's just going to drive people crazy. So
I
a lot
agree.
of people, if they would realize that, they would have a lot of peace of mind.
And Bill, very well said. And let me just add one other thing. Why can't the president do that? He's the leader. That's all I'm trying to say. He's got to step up.
He can't understand things either, like I was just pointing out. It's just their preconceived ideas, how they're brought up. They mean well, but that's the fact. They can look that up, and that's the truth.
No, you're right. Bill, very well said.
The smartest man that ever lived.
Very well said.
Nice night. And,
thank you, Bill. I appreciate
that's
that.
all I wanted to say. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the call, Bill. I appreciate that. Hey, I'll go back to Martin Luther King. I mean, that's obvious. And I'm glad. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad Bill said that. But unless you are a racist, you're going to agree with Bill. Many African Americans out there did so many good things for this country. So many intelligent people out there. Great people, whether they're politicians or whether they're construction workers or police officers. That's without question. And that's why I'm saying this 71-year-old Nancy Goodman, she is an embarrassment to all white people as far as I'm concerned, and to the country. We're going to take a quick break, take more of your calls at 257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this.